Chapter 8. The Need of a Guru. In this chapter, it is our intention to discuss briefly one important aspect of Hindu sadhana, the necessity for accepting someone as guru or guide in our path to spiritual pursuit. Every traveler in the path of joyous light who is destined to climb up to the highest state in the attainment of light and love as the ultimate certitude has achieved his desire only with the help of one whom he accepts as his spiritual guide. It has been enjoined by the Hindu scriptures that a preceptor or acharya is absolutely essential to attain success in one's spiritual quest. The life of Sri Ramakrishna bears ample testimony to it. Himself a God incarnate, he accepted not one but more than one as his spiritual guide. He even accepted a woman as his guru. As we all know, this woman, Bhairavi Brahmacharini, as she was called, helped Sri Ramakrishna in various kinds of sadhana by staying at Dakshineswar for several years and teaching him different practices and various branches of yoga. The only difference that we notice in the case of Sri Ramakrishna is that he never went in search of a guru, but every time there came some expert sadhak to give him proper instruction for reaching the goal. Each of these experts, however, was astonished to see him mastering within a few days the most difficult exercises which took them years to accomplish. After Bhairavi, there came Totapuri, a sannyasin of the Vedantic realization, under whom his direction Sri Ramakrishna followed the path of Advaita Vedanta. This Jnana Yogin also had come to Dakshineswar of his own accord. Then he accepted a Musalman Fakur, Govinda by name, under whose guidance and direction he learned the mysteries of the Islamic sadhana. All these indicate that Sri Ramakrishna unmistakably pointed to the necessity of accepting someone as guru to travel safely the hazardous path of spiritual pursuit. At a time under the impact of Western modes of thought and culture, when we had lost sight of this essential feature of Hindu sadhana, it was Sri Ramakrishna who re-established it. Did he not say, "You can no more attain the knowledge of God by reading religious books than you can from an idea of Benares by a reference to its representation on a map"? On another occasion, he told a householder devotee, "If the services of a teacher are considered indispensably necessary in the matter of ordinary education, how much more indispensable are the services of a guru in the case of an aspirant after divine knowledge?" Even the intellectual like Narendranath Dutt had his doubts initially as to the necessity of a guru, and he did not accept Sri Ramakrishna as such until and unless Ramakrishna had fully inculcated upon his vacillating mind the truth of the Guru Vada, as laid down in our scriptures. Thus, when the need of a guru was finally driven home in his mind by the greatest acharya the world has ever seen, Narendranath had to accept Ramakrishna as his guru and became a staunch votary of this time-honored tradition. If Dante needed Virgil as his monitor in his journey to paradise, then it is needless to argue otherwise. The home of God can never be reached without the help of a proper guide. To some, the tradition of guru might seem irreconcilable to the time spirit, but nothing could be further from the truth. As Swami Vivekananda puts it with marvelous force in the book, The Sages of India, Krishna is not the authority of the Vedas. But the Vedas are the authority of Krishna himself. His glory is that he is the greatest teacher of the Vedas that ever existed. So as to other incarnations, so with our sages. The greatness of the Guru is that he does not speak with authority, but what he speaks is the authority. The chief characteristic of a Guru is that he must be a transformer. He must be an alchemist. This is the aspect which has been attributed to all the celebrated acharyas and spiritual teachers of the bygone days in India. And this bleeding piece of earth human nature has bled stanchlessly since the dawn of time, and the soul of man is still to sigh over what his life remains in this day. Sri Aurobindo has appropriately described this state of human nature in Book 6 of his epic Savirichi in the following words: "A seeker in a dark and obscure place, an ill-armed warrior falling dreadful odds, an imperfect worker given a baffling task, an ignorant judge of problems, ignorance made. Its heavenward flights reach closed and keyless gates. Its glorious outbursts peter out in music." What a real guru extends to his disciple is not a vital human love, which can be altered by external things. He tries to help the seeker up and lead him towards the light, where in the union of the soul and the heart, he will recognize the Guru as the friend. It is only the teachings of a perfect spiritual teacher that can transform the wilderness of one's soul and make it blossom with roses of transcendental joy. What are the ultimate results of such transformation which a guru is supposed to bring about in the nature of a spiritual aspirant whom he accepts as his disciple? When the human will is given up for the divine will, all the responsibility of the instrument, the devotee, ceases, and the consciousness of the individual ego is merged in the divine consciousness. Then all his actions, thoughts, and words emanate from the divine source, leaving him entirely free from all doubts, desires, intellectual preconceptions, and bonds. We have said that a guru is also an alchemist who alone can teach his disciple what is really meant by surrender. One has got to put oneself in the hands of the guru rather than trusting one's own efforts alone. And this implies one's putting one's trust and confidence in the divine and a progressive self-giving. Transformation of nature is a task which only a guru is capable of. In the earthly life of his disciple to the life divine. There cannot, therefore, be any manner of doubt as to the truth that the Guru is the only awakener of the serpent power, the coiling energy of Kundalini in man. This slumbering serpent power, which implies the latent self-conscious divine energy in man, the divinity that sleeps, has been believed by the Tantras to reside at the foot of the spinal column in the human body. And when it is awakened by the Guru, by the transmission of dynamic spirituality, this Kundalini becomes joined in the Absolute that lives in the 1,000-petaled lotus in the highest center of the cerebrum. By independent efforts, no sadhak, no spiritual aspirant can bring about the functioning of this serpent power, just as the young learners cannot be trusted merely with books. The books are repositories of knowledge and sometimes in themselves self-sufficient wholes, they do not prelude external help. Those who want to do away with teachers in the field of spiritual culture are in the position of the old woman in the story, who did not see why people should speak so highly of the sun and prefer it to the moon, because the sun appears when there is light enough. To say that the Guru is a splendid superfluity in the divine economy of things is to say with the old woman that the sun is not needed, because it appears, not when there is a Stygian darkness, but light enough. How does a guru put his disciples in their way to spiritual advancement? Let us take the example of Sri Ramakrishna again. With an extraordinary knowledge of human capacity in respect of matters spiritually, he would at once find out the nature of a man's spiritual needs and defects, and would shape and mold his own teachings and advices in a way which would be best suited to the particular requirements of particular cases. He would admit the claim of all to divine grace, such was his kindness as a spiritual teacher. But there are guru and gurus. When Kali Prasad had set out in his pilgrimage to Dakshineswar, he was certainly not in search of an ordinary teacher, but an incarnate teacher. A firm believer in God from his boyhood days, Kali Prasad was panting for such a guru, as would he be able to lead him up the ladder of perfection. A guru of this kind is indeed God sent. Such a guru can be had only when divine grace has been showered upon the aspirant, whose yearning has been sufficiently proved to be a real thirst of the soul, and not a mere ebullition of humor that lives for a day or for an hour. In the modern world, where everyone is busy with making money, and where in getting and spending we lay waste our powers, real seekers of religion are rare, very rare. The real seeker of religion must have a pure heart, capable of holding the image of God. He must be a suitable receiver, capable of reproducing, as the same piece of music, a tune broadcast into space and vibrating through the ether. Such a pure heart becomes a receptacle of the inconceivable God through the mysterious vision and exaltation of the mind. A real guru actually waits, weeping for his real disciple, as we see in the case of Sri Ramakrishna. We all know how eagerly he looked for his chosen disciples to come to him one by one. And when they came, did he not throw open before each of them the gate to the house of God, for them to see their idol of the sanctum sanctorum of their heart? To the real guru, his disciple is but the temple of his worship. If the worshipper finds that the temple has become unclean and the regular service is in any way neglected, he is deeply mortified at heart. The guru does not accuse the disciple, but accuses his own self if he ever finds his disciple not enjoying a healthy spiritual life. The fortunate few that sit at the feet of such a real guru are men whom God, whose working is inscrutable, has, out of his infinite mercy, saved from the grinding wheel of the universe by the award of true salvation, that is to say, the termination of the cycle of births and deaths, and the participation of the redeemed soul in the highest ransom. For a time, the Guru, who is divine grace in flesh, purges them in the fiery furnace of tribulation, so that they may come out pure and strong and as tempered as steel. The Guru so much identifies himself with his beloved followers, as very appropriately found in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, that their tears of sorrow and the smiles of joy become his own. Their smiles light his face, their tears depress him. But he knows that alchemy whereby he can effect the romancing of sorrow and make it as welcome to them as happiness. One of the qualifications of the real guru is that he possesses what is called historic consciousness. It buys him the universal vision and not a mere fragmentary glimpse. Sister Nivedita thus spoke of Swami Vivekananda in the book, The Master as I Saw Him. It would seem sometimes as if the Swami lived and had his very being in the sense of his country's past. his historic consciousness was extraordinarily developed. A vast deal of ready scriptural knowledge and mythical lore is not a prerequisite to one's being a guru. Like the wiser man in Ramakrishna's story, who did not bother to count the myriad leaves of the tree in a garden, but ate only its fruit, he takes into himself only the beautiful lessons, the gems of truth ensconced in the Leviathan pile of the Shastras. And these lessons are not flashy distilled things, in the words of Francis Bacon, but the very essence of spirituality, the perfect white that alone can claim to replace all the colors of the rainbow, since it contains them all. He hears the symphony in the polyphony, as Heraclitus says, from discords weave the most beautiful harmony. Although the universe and the nature of things is a polyphony, under the master hand of the great orchestra, a splendid symphony is evolved out of the keyboard. And only a trained ear enjoys the concert, singing of God the Father and man the brother, while each musician hears but the sound of his own instrument. The Guru sees himself in all and all in himself. A true spiritual aspirant ever needs such a Guru as the mediator between the seen and the unseen. Learning humanity from the willow and sublimity from the grand moving masses of clouds in the heavens, sitting in the lap of nature with both the law and impulse, and sermons in stones, books in the running brooks, and good in everything, may sound very well as poetical figures, but unless we have a heart that watches and receives, unless the lotus of our heart is fully blown by the touch of the soft moonbeam of Tattvayana, radiating from the Guru, then even these natural, never-failing teachers are of no help to us. According to our ancient rishis, only they can aid a seeker of spiritual knowledge whom God has honored by making them his spokesmen. Otherwise, any Tom, Dick, and Harry who thrive on the ignorance of pseudo-religious minded people can hardly be ranked as real spiritual teachers. When the need for God is felt intensely in the innermost chamber of our being, we must approach, for the proper vista, those whom God has initiated into the mysteries of his kingdom. We cannot, for the most part, find God unaided. This ancient saying is as true as the sun rising in the east and setting in the west. An earnest seeker of religion is in the position of a great artist like Shakespeare or Sophocles, of whom Matthew Arnold said that he saw life steadily and saw it whole. This is best illustrated in the life of our subject, as well as in the lives of his other spiritual brothers, all of whom achieved the highest realization, aided and instructed by their master, Sri Ramakrishna, whose life is perhaps the most shining example of an acharya in the real sense of the term. Thus, the tradition of Guru is an established fact in the Hindu sadhana, and we owe it to Sri Ramakrishna for its glorious revival in our times. Swami Abhedananda has fully explained this while composing his tributes to his Guru in the following words. Salutations to Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, the perfect embodiment of the eternal truth, which manifests itself in various forms to help mankind, and the incarnation of the Supreme Lord who is worshipped by all. A guru must necessarily be a yogi, and Sri Ramakrishna possessed all the yoga powers, though he seldom exhibited them. But as a world teacher, the saint of Dakshineswar excels others not by his yoga power alone, but by divine power. This is where Sri Ramakrishna stands supreme. Thus, we see that it is absolutely necessary to accept somebody as a teacher and guide to gain self-knowledge and perfection. But this sort of guru must have a badge of divine authority. To quote Sri Ramakrishna, "This is necessary, otherwise no one will listen to his words." A true teacher of mankind must possess a great spiritual power. Real gurus are the divinely commissioned teachers. And to quote Sri Ramakrishna again, "He who has received a divine commission does not seek followers. His own power of attraction is so great that people of their own accord crowd round him. Only who is vain and who has but limited vision boasts in ignorance that he wants no initiation from a guru. In his vanity, he will never see that the one beyond life flowers in life in the person of the guru. What we really see in a guru is the reflection of the impersonal in the mirror of his personality. He is the supreme guide. Who but a guru can suggest to you a way by which alone you can get rid of the habits that stand in the way of your true bliss? Who but a guru can show you that way to your spiritual goal? Those who knew the truly magnetic and mighty power which Swami Abhedananda, as the Acharya, had on the hearts of countless men, can have no doubt as to how needful the guru is for all engaged in their spiritual pursuit.